It's the weekly show about rAVe with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
Hey everyone, we're back with rAVe TV. It's Gary K and my co-host
Steph Beckett. Hope you guys are doing well. It's another Wednesday, so Gary and I are, where we always are, hopping on here to do rAVe TV. So
I understand you saw the Hunger Games prequel last night.
Yeah, have you seen it?
Yes.
What did you think?
I thought it was interesting to get the background of Snow and sort of how everything got done. I just think it was just a money grab.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought seeing how he came to be was interesting. But we were talking about it in the office, how we find the Lucy Gray character to be a little bit cringe.
Yeah.
When she got called, at the very beginning of the movie, this doesn't give anything away.
No.
When she gets called for the reaping at the very beginning of the movie, she gets on the stage, she starts singing. That would not be my reaction if I pretty much got called to die.
I don't know. I would do the Hunger Games. I think I would have fun with that. I would definitely be in an adventure like that. I would definitely
when you say you would do it, you would volunteer as tribute to go.
Absolutely, yeah. For my district, and I would definitely do that. Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
Okay.
Because you know me, when I go in something, I go all in. So I would win.
Yeah. Yeah, so. I wouldn't want to be picked. This is actually a thing I talk about with my friends a lot, where we are how far do you think each of us would make it?
You'd make it really far. I think you'd make it far.
I think
you're very clever.
I think that I would probably break top 10.
Well, hopefully there's more than 10 participants because there's only 13.
There's 24.
Oh, okay. I thought there was only 13 districts for some reason. But
the 13th, they don't really mess with District 13 anymore. It's uninhabited.
Yeah.
So then there's a boy and a girl from the 12 districts. So it's 24 people. So I think I'd break top 10. I think I'd ham it up for the cameras. So I think I'd get some sponsorships and stuff. But I don't know that. I think I'd either mess up really big and get out and be 10th, or I would accidentally on purpose take out 5 people at once and then do good. So I don't know.
I think you'd do better than what you're saying.
That's just tough. It's hard to say. We joke about it, but those movies are so when you think about how dystopian that kind of future would be, it's actually really sad. So I think that's why I thought the movie last night really messed me up, because I was oh, by the end he's selling out his friends and everything just to get ahead. And it's when you think about that type of thing and how that would weigh on your conscience, all that.
Do you want to go see a good movie?
Yeah.
Go see Maestro.
Is that in theaters right now?
Yeah. It's Bradley Cooper playing oh my God. The guy who wrote all the musicals, Leonard Bernstein.
Andrew Lloyd Webber?
No, Leonard Bernstein. He plays Leonard Bernstein. And he does a phenomenal job playing Leonard Bernstein. And it's his life.
Interesting.
And it's definitely, he'll get nominated for a cat. First off, there's a backstory. The backstory is Steven Spielberg was going to direct it. He was going to, and then he was going to star in it.
Yeah.
Spielberg had to back out because of something else. And he basically said, Bradley Cooper said, well, I don't know who to get to direct it. Spielberg said, you should direct it.
Oh, okay.
The directing is incredible. It was it was right after A Star Is Born. The directing is incredible. The acting is incredible. He's going to get nominated for an Academy Award. The movie will get nominated for a movie, and he'll get nominated for a director as well. He'll have a 3-time
for next year or this year. Do you think if it made the cutoff?
Yeah, as long as you come out before December 31st at midnight, you get to be out there. And now the rules are you have to release in a theater before it has to 100% be in a theater. So a lot of these studios like Netflix and Amazon and Apple are putting their movies in a studio for a weekend and then putting it online. But anyway, it's phenomenal.
Okay.
Of course, I knew his music. His music, West Side Story, and all the musicals that he did. But his backstory is quite interesting, and it's all happened, in my lifetime. So You know, it wasn't that long ago. And that's when my mom used to take me to musicals. My mom got me into musicals in the 70s and the 80s. That's when I kind of got interested in it. And my mother loved him. So it was kind of cool to see that movie and kind of see his backstory. There's one scene that will just stun you. And it happens in real time. It's one camera shoot.
I like that. Like a long shot.
And he's playing and he's conducting an orchestra inside of a church. What's the big church in New York City called? St. Mark's? Is it St. Mark's Cathedral? I forget, the one that was famous for 9/11. But they're in there and he's conducting it, and he is just like Bernstein. I mean, he's like all over the place with his facial expressions and sweating, and it's really good. Like it is a stunning scene. But that's a good movie to go see. I would highly recommend it. Maestro. But some big news this morning. Officially, E3 is dead as a show. And I used to love going to this show. I would go, either Christy would invite me or Barco would invite me. This was one of the first shows where there was a lot of large screen projection, where they would show all the big video games that were for computers and early set-top players, the gaming systems. It also became an entertainment show where a lot of the technology that runs digital cinemas now, and this is a story in the Washington Post today about the death of the E3 Expo, but a lot of when Lucas demanded that everything go digital for Star Wars and all the theaters were switching over to digital, all the new technology there, the DLP chip and Texas Instruments and all the brands, they all showed at E3. That's where everything started coming out, and that's where you first saw digital cinema, when it converted from CRT. But the interesting thing is, this is a show that basically anyone in gaming and anyone in large format entertainment would go to, and it was huge. It was in the Los Angeles Convention Center. It took up the whole convention center every single year. It's one of the biggest shows in LA. Well, certainly was one of the top 20 shows globally for a while. For it to completely die. Now, pandemic is partly to blame, but the biggest change is I remember 15 years ago sitting in our office, and at that time, Sarah and Matt and Emily and I were in a very small office. So maybe it's not 15, maybe 10, 12 years ago. We're in a small office, and I remember when Apple first started coming out with games on their phone, and I was like, oh my God, within 10 years, the gaming industry will, the traditional gaming industry will die. And Matt looked at me and laughed and said, no way. Everyone who's a hardcore gamer still will want to play on set-top boxes. The phone's never going to do it. Well, look at it now. 80% of the games are on the phone, right? I mean, he was right and I was right. The set-top box, the PS5 and Xbox still exist. But now a lot of those games, like Fortnite, is a great example of a game that is as seamless to play on a mobile device as it is on a set-top box or a computer system. I think with the metaverse, meaning that being the operating system, which, by the way, I'd like to recommend a book about that. If you're really interested, you should read this book if you're interested in like the metaverse. And a lot of people think the metaverse is dead, but it's not. Actually, all the gaming companies are building all their games on the metaverse. And of course, Facebook and X and Google and all of them are putting all their AI in the metaverse. This is a great book that kind of explains why it's not all about gaming. And so it'll be interesting. But I think, what's interesting is that show did not evolve. I think Infocom's done Vix has done a phenomenal job with Infocom evolving the show. ISE's, Mike Blackman, his team done a great job evolving. You got to evolve. You can't just bring the show back after the pandemic. And we've seen other shows like DSE, you were just at last week, struggle because all they're doing is bringing back the same show again. And I think that there's still a model for that. And there's niche shows like a DSE and a smaller show are gonna be fine. But at the same time, you got to evolve into something new and go after what the audience wants now. People want that networking experience. They want a reason to go besides just the booths. So I think that's the future. But anyway, that show's canceled. Speaking of DSE and LDI, Steph.
Yeah, so we went last week. We had a great time. Like we said, DSE was a little bit of a smaller show, but I still think it's I still think it's got a hell of a shot in the digital signage industry, because we do need a show in that industry. And obviously, and LDI was great as well. So if you're interested in seeing all of our coverage of that, we've got product stories, press releases. I wrote pieces about just my random thoughts I had about the shows on 2 of the days, and we've got tons of interviews and, of course, all of our product videos. And, we can show a little bit. I think I've got a screenshot of one of the pieces that I wrote. And a lot of that was just me kind of reflecting on, yes, DSE is small, but I really don't think that anyone should just give up and not ever go to that show again. Like, there's still so much
They need to evolve.
room.
They really should put that show in the middle of LDI instead of on the side. Just make it a pavilion of that show. I think that's my opinion. But you and the team shot like 430 or 440 videos, something like that.
I think so.
Obviously LDI is a really cool show. And I want you to watch the video. If for no other reason, this is one reason to go watch some of the LDI videos. And by the way, Steph sent me award nominees last night. So I spent a couple of hours literally watching, probably watched 200 videos.
Yeah.
Whether I watched them all the way through or partially just to make sure I understood the products. What blew me away, Steph, most of all, was how good our cameras do taking images in the dark. Oh my gosh. Because it's all in the dark. The whole show's in the dark. And the quality of the video that y'all
is actually quite good.
It's very good. And we're going to get new cameras for ISE and Infocom. So we're going to even be even better. But the quality of like these small cameras, even though cameras built into smartphones, is just stunningly good. And it'd be interesting for you to watch just for that, because 3 years ago, if we tried to shoot video in that hall, it would have looked terrible.
Like even like 10 years ago.
Well, I was saying 3 years ago would have been 10 years ago would have been impossible.
10 years ago, oh my gosh! Like with the things that you had to like do the manual switch from like macro to micro focus. Oh man, that would have been.
You're getting mechanical zoom instead of digital. But you're going to do a replay. You're going to do a replay DSE and LDI on December 20th. We're going to do 2 separate ones. DSE first at 11 a.m. Eastern, and then LDI at 2 p.m. Eastern on the 20th. Even if you can't join live, go ahead and register for it. Scan that QR and register, because that way you'll get links to everything. And what's neat about the replays is that it's all curated coverage. So it's like, okay, here's the things that Steph thinks are the most important, and you'll actually use those 2 sessions to debut the awards. Who are the award winners? What we saw is the best products at DSE and the best products at LDI. That will be debuted at on December 20th at 11 a.m. for DSE awards and 2 p.m. for LDI awards. And of course, we'll tweet them out and we'll post them as well on social. Anyway, we do this show every week, every Wednesday at noon, thanks to our sponsors. One of those sponsors is rAVe. So do you want to talk about what their product they're talking about, Steph?
Yeah, if you are an NDI person, if NDI is the what you use and you prefer, rAVe does have a number of NDI supported cameras and a tracking box that you guys can check out. There's Pro AV camera options, and they've got up to from like 12 to 30 times zoom, and that includes the NDI license or an upgrade that can actually be purchased directly from NDI. So if you are interested in learning any more about that and all of rAVe's NDI options, we have a link. All you have to do is scan the QR code and click the rAVe link there, and that'll take you right to their site.
Excellent. So our first story up for this week's
we've got a few. We've got a kind of a full lineup this week.
Yeah, one of the first is about Proto, and Proto is one of those companies that's built like a holographic capabilities where you can actually bring somebody in real time in full life-size proportions onto a stage or even into a meeting or in an ad campaign. That's one of the things I saw them do. They have offices in Europe, and I think they've had an office in LA, but now they actually have one in Miami. But really you should go look at it, the story, just for the product. It's a neat product.
It's a really cool product. I even saw, I don't remember if it's Proto's product. There are a few that are similar, but there was
Art
even
Media
like an
has
episode.
One called Capsule. Yep.
There was an episode of the Kardashians where they were using this, and they were like talking about how cool it was.
Well, if it's on the Kardashians, it must be mainstream then.
I was like, never did I think that, like, you know, some of the things that I cover for work would ever be featured on an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
You know, it's funny. The students that have gone and done interns with us, internships with us, Steph, a lot of them, we had one speak to the class 2 weeks ago. She actually works at E-Ink, and she'd never even heard of our industry and never even heard the term digital signage until she did an internship with us. And now she runs PR for E-Ink. And
one of like the biggest e-paper companies in our industry.
Yeah, they're the ones that build it for Philips. They're the ones that build it for Sharp NEC, and they're building it for, speaking of which, Sony and Userphone. Next story for the day, Sony and Userphone announced a partnership where Sony's got this preferred partnership program where they're like integrating different brands into their chip on board technology. And one of those is Userphone. Now, Userphone has the capability of running an entire space, like, you know, not just doing digital signage, but also managing an entire space or even running a command and control center, network operations center, and also going to be used as a remote control system as well. So Sony is integrated Userphone's platform into the chip on board technology. So you can read all about that by scanning that QR code. And of course, another one of our sponsors is Shure. And, you know, Shure, as everyone knows by now, bought STEM Audio a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, sometime right around the pandemic time. And here's a quick video on the STEM ecosystem in case you don't know about it.
As an IT manager, your days are packed with keeping IT infrastructure up and running and constantly upgrading and implementing new technology. Finding time to do everything seems impossible. But what if we told you that a task like outfitting multiple meeting rooms for video conferencing is simple? Meet the STEM ecosystem from Shure, a flexible and scalable conferencing solution for any meeting room. Mix and match ceiling, table, wall, and speaker for a customized audio combination that meets the needs of any room. STEM devices are backed by a robust platform full of tools designed to make the process of adopting new technology effortless for anyone, so in-house IT teams can get a room running in no time.
So in kind of big news for our industry, Wirestorm added Hal Truax as president of its commercial division, which I just found, you know, very interesting. I think, you know, we saw that Hal was leaving Hall, what was it, maybe a month ago, and we've all kind of been wondering what his next move was going to be. So president of Wirestorm's commercial division will definitely be really interesting.
Good move for Wirestorm because Hal is really well known, really well respected in the industry.
Yeah, really well liked guy. Yeah, super nice, super great guy, knows a lot. So I think that he will do a really, really good job. And we'll continue kind of, you know, we're seeing Wirestorm kind of being a little bit of a dark horse in our industry. They're kind of sneaking up and becoming really big.
Yeah, and I think that they've grown a lot in the last couple of years. Extron is shipping a new box. It's really kind of cool stuff. So imagine you have a conference room and you want everyone in the room to be able to connect, anyone to be able to connect to the display in the room, the microphone, the speakers, and the camera, very much like a ClickShare conference, right? But you want to do it inexpensively and real quickly. What you do is you use this box from Extron called the UCS 601. It's basically a 4K docking station. So you take the output of the HDMI, plug it into a monitor. You plug in, there's 3 USB ports on the front. There's 1 USB port on the back. So you can plug in, and the USB port on the back is in and out. So here's what's cool about it. So you can plug in your camera, your mic, and your speakers into this box and then have a USB coming out. The USB just sits there on the table. Plug in your laptop. You don't have to do any settings on your laptop to connect the mic or camera or anything. It's already there. So you can switch between a Zoom meeting, a Teams meeting without actually having to make it a Zoom room or a Teams room. So it can be an anything conference room. And it's very small. The box is 1/3 U width wise. So it's, I guess that would be about 6 inches wide, something like that. And very small, can fit underneath the table. And
when might you select to use this instead of a ClickShare conference or a similar product?
Well, ClickShare doesn't have wired capability that also, for example, charges your laptop and also allows you to have other accessories connected. So the nice thing about this is your laptop still works with all the accessories, but it's for a hardware, hard connection.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody wants the wireless. If you want wireless, obviously you'd have to add ShareLink to this. If you want to stay in the Extron ecosystem, you of course could have a ClickShare in the room and still have this, right? If you wanted to do wireless, but a lot of conference rooms, there's small ones like we have in our office, Steph, where you just want to plug in and just go and not have to think about how to connect to anything.
Yeah.
Think about how even though you know how to use these conference rooms, you're in our industry. I bet it still takes you a couple of minutes to set up in those conference rooms to get operating. And you're in our industry. So now take someone who's, there's a real estate company in our building. Take that person, put them in the conference room. It probably takes them 10 minutes to figure out how to use that room if they never use it before. This, you just plug in the USB-C into your laptop. It's charging your laptop at the same time, and it just content automatically just appears on the screen. And the microphone in the room and the speakers in the room and the camera in the room are automatically connected. You don't have to do any setting.
Yeah, that's really nice. And also, like, our conference rooms are set up solely to use Zoom. And I know like a few people have complained being like, I wish that we use Teams.
So what you do is put this box in that room and then use it for Teams, right? You just launch Teams on your desktop computer. And now if you here's a secret for those of you in the office. If you want to use Teams, use the sharing feature of Zoom. So on Zoom in the touch panel, the controller, click share screen and then run Teams from your laptop, and that will build you a Teams room out of a Zoom room. But a lot of people don't realize that, but that's the easiest way.
That's smart. That's the easiest way. Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know if you had a chance to see this at DSE yourself. I watched the video on it yesterday, but Corbett software, and they have some of the best content management software, but they also have AI-based content management software. So it can pick content to display on the digital sign based on parameters, like you say, pick content based on things going on within 2 miles of our office. And anytime someone has lunch specials, put them on the screen. Like the AI can look at their websites and see, and it can put that content on it. Well, they've integrated the Corbett software, the Corbett Anywhere software into BrightSign Series 5 media players. So that's a new thing that was announced at DSE. And by the way, if you haven't heard of Corbett, you should check them out at KORBYT.com. So do you want to talk about Legrand?
Yeah, let's talk about Legrand. So as you know, Legrand has many brands under its umbrella. I cannot name them all off the top of my head. Gary, I don't know that you can.
C2G. Let's see. Chief. Those are the big ones, right? And then you got, let's see. We should know all these off the top of my head. We should test each other.
Sanus, right?
Sanus. Yeah, that's the consumer mount company. But anyway, go ahead. I'm going to think of them.
Yeah. Keep thinking. So Legrand is also really great about providing guidebooks and help for all of its integrator friends.
Okay, I know some more. I thought it was more OnCue because I use them in my garage.
Yes.
Luxel for networking.
Luxel.
They and Vadio. Of course, they bought Vadio, right? And Vadio was the first USB camera company out there. We already mentioned Daylight, right? We already mentioned Chief. Wire Mold. That's another kind
okay, you're doing good. You're doing better than I was.
Shading Systems.
Yes.
Mid-Atlantic. That's the one.
Mid-Atlantic. How did we forget about Mid-Atlantic? Sorry, Mid-Atlantic.
Yes. Okay, there you go. Sorry, Steph. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. I think we got just about all of them then. So their latest resource for you guys is its guidebook for the hybrid workforce, which I know just not too much. I know everyone's like, oh, I'm so tired of hearing about the hybrid workforce. Well, too bad, because that's what we're all doing. So if you're interested in learning a little bit about some great workspace solutions for the hybrid workforce.
And some data. They have some data in there as well.
definitely go and check out this guide. It's got, a lot of options for like a portable packable workspace if that's what your office is doing, or a whole portable office. Portable AV production on the go. That's something that more and more of us are needing now. As well as like things for temporary AV production, permanent workspaces if you are fully back in the office, or a permanent home office if you're permanently back at home. They've got a lot of options and guides for how to create this in the best way possible. So definitely go and check that out.
So the first day of LDI, got an announcement that Act Entertainment bought TV One. Now here's what's interesting about that. So Act Entertainment is a distributor. So this is a distributor that does, live events product distribution. So like LED lighting and LED displays and stages and risers and audio production and kind of stuff for anything you need for live events. They purchased TV One. Now a lot of people might be like, why would they purchase TV One? Because they do HDMI distribution. They also, TV One bought Green Hippo a few years ago. Green Hippo is a media server company. So Act Entertainment is obviously going to amp that up. That's where you're going to see the change there is much better Green Hippo software, keeping up the software versions. I think we'll probably see larger capabilities. Green Hippo is kind of like in the good and the better range, not the best. I mean, they don't do large. They couldn't do like a ride at Disney or something like that. But they could definitely do a live events for any rental staging company. So that's, I think, a very interesting acquisition. And you actually did an interview at LDI of Andy Fleiss, who's the president of TV One. And in that story that's on our website, ravepubs.com, you can actually watch that interview, and you asked him why they did it, what the future holds and that kind of stuff. We're the only ones that did a video interview with him.
Yeah. And I also asked him, like, were they going to keep the brands, or were they going to kind of rework them or fold them into something else? And he said that, for now, and he thought probably for a long time, the brands were going to stay as they are, because they already have like a lot of like market power, and like people know them in our industry. So it wouldn't make a ton of sense to change a brand that people
and I think
really
this is interesting because if you go back to my crystal ball earlier this year, two things I said was that you're going to see acquisitions like this that are like things that are not obvious, companies putting themselves together, and more collaborations between companies. We've had a story of both of those today. We have Userful and Sony on the collaboration side, and now we have Act buying TV One on the acquisition side. So I think that's going to continue into 2024. And on, in media server news, because you had talked about Green Hippo, Panasonic made an announcement during LDI that they were going to enter the media server market. Now they have built everything else around it. So like if you look at a esports competition, they make everything from projection to everything, but they don't do media servers. Well, now they're going to do media servers. So they're going to enter that. Say, I don't know if that means they're going to buy somebody or they're just going to build their own. They weren't specific about what they were going to do there. That story is on our website. And you should go check it out. And speaking of esports, Steph, that is our case study of the week, isn't it?
Oh, yes, it is. So this is with DNR Laboratories. They have installed the digital projection Radiance video wall in All Systems. It's All Systems Go Esports Arena, which is one of the top 20 esports arenas in the world. Definitely go and look at this. This is different. I've never been in an esports arena before, so I don't have a ton to compare it to, but it looks so good.
Yeah. And we, as you may know, we have our own esports live show the first and third Thursday of the month, which means next Thursday, there'll be a show that's called the rAVe Esports Show with Bubba Geddert. We've already done 3 episodes. So definitely go to our website at ravepubs.com and look for rAVe TV. And you'll see that show there under the rAVe TV shows because it is a live streaming show. And so I think this install is kind of interesting. They use the 2.5 millimeter LEDs, which is probably the most popular for small format because you're going to be very close to the screen for that. It's a 6,200 square foot facility, and it's not one of the larger ones, none of the larger esports arenas, but it's on the smaller side. But again, they have, it's one of the top 20. It's been voted one of the top 20 in the world. I just saw it when I was writing up the story. I saw poll where somebody had done like, here are the top 22 esports arenas, and I think this was like 16th or 17th overall. So and All Systems Go is really kind of a cool name and a cool branding of it. So I think it's all this stuff is installed by AV companies. So if you have a relationship with a university or even K through 12 school, if they aren't starting an esports team, they will. You ought to help them, and then that way you'll reap the rewards from it. I suspect every university's looking at that now. So,
do you think that we'll get another esports focused trade show, or no? Or
I don't know if we're at that level. I mean, I think esports is such a niche. I don't know if I do think that Infocom will amp that up quite a bit. I think we'll see a bigger esports pavilion in 2024. I don't think the industry is large enough for it's a standalone show. And of course, most of the stuff used in that comes from our industry. Of course, the gaming side, there's still a need for that show. So anyway, there. But anyway, hey, that's today's show stuff, isn't it?
Yep, that is our show. So thank you everyone for watching and joining us. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday, same time, same place, noon Eastern, for another episode of rAVe TV, just kind of reviewing that week's news. So thanks everybody as always.
Have a great day.
It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary.